Carlos Alcaraz is already in Roland Garros mode. After conquering Rome and completing his collection of clay court titles, the Spaniard from Murcia isn't wasting a single second. And although he arrives as the defending champion and top favorite, there's something that seriously worries him: the tournament balls. Yes, more than the opponent or the pressure, the ball change is the main concern for the world number 2. Why can this seemingly minor detail make a difference in Paris? With just a few days to savor his victory at the Rome Masters 1000, Carlos Alcaraz and his team are already heading to Paris. The reason? To adapt as soon as possible to the specific conditions of Roland Garros, especially the Wilson balls, which continue to stir controversy among players. Unlike other clay tournaments like Madrid, Monte Carlo, or even the Foro Italico itself, Roland Garros uses a type of ball that alters the pace, weight, and bounce of each shot. Since their introduction in 2020, the Wilson balls have been subject to complaints. In 2023, players like Daniil Medvedev, Stan Wawrinka, and even Djokovic described them as soft, inconsistent, and difficult to control. Although the controversy cooled slightly in the last edition, the difference from the rest of the circuit remains. And Alcaraz knows it. That's why the Spaniard and his team decided to travel to Paris this very Wednesday, ahead of the rest of the competitors, to start training with the official balls as soon as possible. The goal is clear: to minimize any margin of error in a tournament where every detail counts. The ball change doesn't just affect hitting, it also influences tactics, the length of rallies, and even physical wear. In a Grand Slam where matches can last over 4 hours, being well adapted to the conditions is as important as being in shape. And Alcaraz, who is coming off an injury, wants to arrive with no surprises. You can't play with these balls, some said in previous editions. Alcaraz prefers not to reach that point. He knows his best version comes out when he feels comfortable with every shot, when his Babolat racket responds as expected, and when the bounce of the ball allows him to showcase his full arsenal of drop shots, topspin, and pace changes. Hence the importance of working right now on the Parisian clay with the material that will be used in the tournament. In addition to training, Carlos will also take advantage of his early arrival in the French capital to fulfill several promotional commitments, including one with Babolat, his racket sponsor. But beyond the cameras, the real focus is on the feeling. Because if there's one thing Alcaraz has shown, it's that he leaves nothing to chance. Carlos Alcaraz arrives at Roland Garros with confidence, titles, and a clear concern: adapting as quickly as possible to the Wilson balls. In a sport where the margins are increasingly narrow, that simple change can make the difference between advancing or falling short. The Spaniard knows it, and that's why he's getting ahead. Because if he wants to defend his crown in Paris, he will have to beat not only his rivals, but also the one element he still hasn't fully mastered: the balls. Carlos Alcaraz has set off alarms across the circuit. But not because of injury, rather because of his unstoppable form. The young Spaniard conquered the Rome Masters 1000 with authority, defeating world number 1 Jannik Sinner and sending a clear message: he's ready to reclaim the top spot in world tennis. With this victory, Alcaraz not only adds a new title to his collection, but also gains a significant boost in the rankings and a surge in confidence right before Roland Garros. Are we witnessing the new great clay court dominator? The Rome Masters 1000 final was much more than a match. It was a statement of power from Carlos Alcaraz, who beat Jannik Sinner 7-6, 6-1, extending his dominance over the Italian. The Spaniard now holds 4 consecutive wins over the world number 1, including Wimbledon and Roland Garros in 2024. And this one, on Sinner's home turf, was especially symbolic. With his triumph in Rome, Carlos not only proves he can perform in big moments, but also that he has taken a step forward mentally and tactically. He handled pressure against players like Draper and Musetti, and showed his most solid version against Sinner. It wasn't a victory based solely on power or talent, but on strategy and emotional control. And that, on the doorstep of Roland Garros, makes him an even greater threat. This new title, his 7th Masters 1000, earns him 1,000 crucial points in the ATP rankings, compared to the 650 Sinner gets for being a finalist. Thus, Alcaraz closes the gap in the race for the top of world tennis. He's currently number 2 in the world, which ensures he'll be on the opposite side of the draw from Sinner and Roland Garros. A tactical advantage that could be decisive in a tournament where both are among the main favorites. Despite his recent dominance, Carlos Alcaraz has been cautious when speaking about his rivalry with Sinner. "I don't think I've taken over," he said humbly. He acknowledges the Italian's merit for reaching the final after 3 months out of the circuit and doesn't doubt that, with more rhythm, Jannik will be even more dangerous in Paris. "I'm sure he'll improve this week. He'll be a very tough opponent, he stated. Alcaraz's maturity is evident not only in his game, but also in his attitude. He doesn't get carried away by euphoria and understands that Roland Garros is a completely different challenge. Even so, he arrives with undeniable momentum, full of confidence, with a new title under his belt. And as the only player who seems to have the formula to beat Sinner. Carlos Alcaraz has had a perfect week in Rome. His victory puts him back in the spotlight as the most informed player on clay and positions him strongly in the race for world number one. Beyond the trophy, the real prize has been proving he's ready to defend his title at Roland Garros. And perhaps return to the top of the rankings. Sinner will remain his great rival, but for now, Alcaraz has landed the biggest blow. And he's done it with a clear message: we haven't seen his ceiling yet. Carlos Alcaraz didn't just win the Rome Masters 1000 final. He dominated it with surgical precision. Against Jannik Sinner, the world number one, the Spaniard not only imposed his tennis, but executed a precise tactical plan that completely disarmed the Italian. After the match, he said it himself, "It was my best match tactically." And rightly so. What was the key behind the crushing 7-6, 6-1 win? Let's break it down. From the first point, Alcaraz and his team knew what they had to do: discomfort Sinner, exploit his lack of competitive rhythm, and not give him space to set up his powerful ground strokes. The start of the match was even, with both dominating with their first serves and few return chances. But everything changed in an instant, when Sinner had two set points at 15-40 in the 5-6 of the first set. Alcaraz kept calm and saved both. From that point, the Italian mentally checked out, and the Spaniard gained confidence. Tactically, Alcaraz was impeccable on serve. With first serves out wide or into the body to open the court, and second serves targeting Sinner's backhand, he neutralized the Italian's biggest weapon, his down-the-line backhand. That strategy was key to controlling the pace of the match. At the net, he didn't overforce, and extended points when necessary. He took the first set in the tiebreak. And with it, full control of the match. What followed in the second set was a tactical and mental lesson. Sinner, overwhelmed with frustration, won just 1 point with his first serve in the entire set, in which he barely landed 3 first serves. Alcaraz, meanwhile, shone from defense, hitting 81% of forehands. He won 11 of the 12 points he played in defensive mode. His forehand averaged 127 km per hour, turning defense into attack as if it were second nature. The key was clear: take the point to the forehand cross-court zone, his most dangerous shot, and avoid the backhand duel where Sinner usually excels. But this time, not even there did the Italian shine. According to Tennis Insights data, Sinner wasn't better than Alcaraz in a single area of the game: not serve, not return, not backhand. Nothing. The Spaniard even gained an edge in backhands, something very few have achieved against Jannik. The difference also showed in the shot distribution. Alcaraz hit 111 forehands and 97 backhands, while Sinner managed only 90 backhands, his favorite shot, and 105 forehands. The match never took place on the playing field that suited the Italian. Ferrero and his team devised the plan, and Carlitos executed it flawlessly. Carlos Alcaraz's triumph in Rome wasn't just physical or emotional. Above all, it was tactical. The Spaniard proved that he can approach a match like a chess game and execute it with surgical precision. His game reading, adaptability, and variety of shots made him the undisputed star of a final that will serve as a benchmark. And the most interesting part is that this was just one battle. If they meet again at Roland Garros, it will be Sinner and his team's turn to respond. Because every clash between these two giants is more than just a match. It's a strategic war in constant evolution. Not even a lost final could take away Jannik Sinner's sense of humor. After falling to Carlos Alcaraz in the Rome Masters 1000 final, the world number one made a comment that had social media in stitches. And it was aimed at none other than his own brother. With an ironic tone and a smile on his face, Sinner delivered an unexpected jab: "A special thanks to my brother who, instead of being here, is at Imola watching Formula 1. What's behind this curious family joke?" The Rome Masters 1000 final was a celebration. For Carlos Alcaraz, the Spaniard dominated the match from start to finish, winning 7-6, 6-1 against a Jannik Sinner who had no answers on court. But off it, the Italian once again showed that he's more than just a number one. He also knows how to laugh, even in defeat. During the trophy ceremony, Sinner joked about his brother's absence, who chose to attend the Formula 1 Grand Prix in Imola instead of watching the final. "Thanks, brother, for preferring cars over my final," he basically said, drawing laughter from the crowd and knowing smiles all around. The scene quickly went viral on social media, where many praised the Italian's ability to joke even in tense moments. The detail didn't go unnoticed. In a high-pressure sport like tennis, gestures like this make the big stars even more relatable. And Sinner, despite the loss, won over the audience with a simple family joke. This kind of statement also reflects Sinner's emotional maturity. After 3 months out due to injury, he reached the final of a major tournament like Rome, and although clearly outplayed by Alcaraz, his attitude was exemplary. He acknowledged his rival's superiority, offered sincere praise, and even found room for humor in a potentially bitter moment. The joke also highlights another key point: family support isn't always in the front row, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Jannik often says that his environment helps keep him grounded. And the fact that his brother chose Formula 1 over his final didn't bother him. On the contrary, he used it to connect with the crowd. Meanwhile, on the other side of the net, Carlos Alcaraz was happy not only for the win but also to share the court again with his great rival. "Sinner pushes me to be better," said the Spaniard. And now, both are heading to Paris, where the story may repeat itself. Or be written from scratch. Jannik Sinner didn't take the title in Rome, but he did earn a different kind of ovation, for his humor, humility, and grace in defeat. His ironic comment about his brother made it clear that even though he's the world #1, he's still a normal guy, with a normal family. And with anecdotes that are also part of the game. With Paris on the horizon, it's clear that both he and Alcaraz are not just competing for titles, but also for the hearts of the fans. And in that battle, a good sense of humor counts too. What do you think of Sinner's jab at his brother? Would you like to see more moments like that in the tennis world? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to keep enjoying every chapter on and off the court of this new golden era of tennis. See you in the next video.